seem to be coming from a little foot shorter.
It's not too bad. It's soft.
It's an old couch, too. Pick it up in Lewisburg.
It's artsy.
It is. It was part of an old house there. A new couple moved in, like $50 a year. Like, yeah, I'll take
One of those French things.
Mm-hmm.
The lady I used to work for, she collects all kinds of shit, like everything.
Mm-hmm.
She has a bunch of other ones, but they have the wooden, they're just like this, but they have the wooden arms, and they're all fancy carved,
Yeah.
This reminds me of.
It does. If you open it up, it's probably this nice small woodwork in there, too. So, you're planning with the release for the new album in 2021?
Yeah, I don't want my new album to be associated with 2020.
I don't think anything does. But you're working with Paul Smith from Badleys, the bass player.
Yeah, he's the record engineer, or the engineer over at 8 Days a Week in Northumberland.
Yeah.
Great studio.
Yeah. Very good stories about it, man. And I met Brett, like I said, I met everybody but Paul, so, and they've always been nice guys.
Yeah, Brett engineered our last one over at the Analog Place down in Music.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember the name of the studio off the top of my head.
Holland.
Holland, okay. Yep.
I'm not sure. I don't think they do analog anymore. I think, I know when we were working on it, like right when we got to the end, something went wrong with the machine.
Oh, really?
Luckily, we were just about done. We had to do like one piano track digitally. But they just had it repaired right before we started, so I can't imagine, because they got sent to someplace in New York, and it costs like, it's outrageous.
I'll bet.
To ship and to fix,
Especially now, well, everything's going on.
Yeah. I wish more places still did that, but
Yeah, it's a headache for them, but worthwhile, especially with what you're doing. You're doing no click, you're playing traditionally how it should be.
yeah, with as a live band sound, I get that whole. But there's so much more you can do digitally, having that is kind of cool.
Yeah. Like you said, you're not going off click, you're going off the feel. You're going through the dynamic of the song and doing it.
Yeah, we're playing the song, to get that.
Yeah.
Dynamics and everything together, so it doesn't have that just steady thing the whole time, no change, no feeling or emotion to it.
Yeah, which makes sense. This is the sound you're looking for, might as well.
Yeah.
But your poor drummer has to put up the bread and that. How many takes has he done so far?
Oh no, we've put down what we've put down so far. It came out pretty quick. We'd have to do a couple takes just for, you do one take just to go through it, just to do it anyway, Half the time you wish you kept that take.
Yeah.
But, no, we've been putting them down pretty quick. We laid down like a good 50% of 8 songs, so, and then now we're gonna work on another 5 or 6 and see what it narrows down to.
Like you said, you're not only rehearsing it, but you're also laying out the drum track, and you're going back through and play the bass.
Well, we're laying it all together, and if we have to go back and fix something, we'll with the guitars and vocals are going to be re-recorded later. They're all scrub tracks, but just so we can get the bass and everything down. That way we can get a little more thought on doing the solos and stuff. Because typically you just live you just play it how it comes out,
Yeah, you're catching.
But I'd like to put a little more thought into this one. Like the last album, that's what it was. We just did our solo, I'd like to put a little more something into this one.
Yeah, which is a wise idea. If you want to capture dynamics, then you have to do it.
Yeah.
But like you said, if you mess up, you got to grab the drums first, and then you get to the bass. You got to make sure he's tight with what the feeling is all the way up through. Which it really, in essence, if you think about it, that's actually harder than going to a click, because if everybody's on the click, you know the direction. You're just stuck there. You're in that.
Yeah, click's pretty hard for me. I'm horrible at it. I gotta have the click with the extra tabs to fake the drum beat. That's the only one that works for me.
Oh, double timing it. So
so I can have the fake drum beat basically, because I can't just do the normal click.
Yeah.
that's the kind of like sound I ignore when I'm playing music, you know.
Yeah, well, but like you say, it really, in that essence, it really does grab the true feeling of the song because everybody has their dynamic from everything.
Yeah, like
top to
you
bottom.
can. There's so much. I mean, like classical music does it where it, uses the bringing something up, have it be more excited, bringing something slower, more mellow, and like just with the click track, it's kind of hard to do that. There's a lot more math involved. Like, okay, here we got,
Yeah.
but like music has movement that way,
Exactly.
live. So it should. I think it should.
Yeah, yeah. Which I wouldn't disagree. I mean, like, because of the dynamics of the band, holding to that click, you kind of lose that a little bit. With you guys, as long as as long as your rhythm section's tight, you have that area to build off of. As long as they're holding and knowing to do the build.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's types of music where that's the best way to do it,
Yeah.
But
And like we were saying
like,
too, like
it's blues more like there's so much improvisation and everything in it that it's natural for it to be like that.
Yeah, yeah. And like we were talking about earlier about like jazz and older country, older 50s rock. I mean, you couldn't capture the way they did it was essentially how we're doing now. You're just sitting there with one microphone in front of you. At some point in the very early career.
Yeah, in the early days it was just a cup with a, a little gizmo inside of it.
Yeah.
Singing to the cup.
It's true. Like I said back then, and there's still some amazing recordings that even remastered, it still sounds.
Oh yeah.
There's a tightness there that can't be replicated, and there's a timing there that can't be done by everybody playing the click. Because I guarantee you throw them on it and throw them off quickly.
Oh yeah. There was that. Who was the guy that went around like the Lomax, Alan Lomax? He went around for the. I'm not sure what it was for, but. I know the Library of Congress and a couple other did it where they went around and they just recorded people with a microphone, like a lot of early recordings, and those, digitally remastered still sound great, like, and it was just one little microphone with a suitcase, thing to record it on.
It's one of those deals where if every musician knows their place and knows their dynamics and the changes, it's an amazing thing. Really get, like you said, the essence of that is really in that record.
Yeah. Well, when there was live music.
Well, yeah. Give it time. That had better come back. I'd be really pissed.
Ooh.
Friday and Saturday nights are just not a lot of fun anymore unless you got to go sit down and have food with your beer or something of that nature. But
oh man, my gigs disappeared.
With a lot of others too, man.
Oh, I know. Everybody's. Oh, it's. I don't know.
But at the very least, at the end of the day, I mean, as much as I hate this shit as it is, but
it's not gonna be over if we don't like.
It's something. Even still, we have the recordings too, which is the beautiful thing. We still can go in there and capture some stuff and release it. At the very least, we always have that.
Yeah, it gives you time. That's a good thing,
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, I was, we were talking about this album since we released the last one. We started working on a couple songs, but it wasn't until this whole thing happened that gave us time to actually sit down and
focus in on everything. Yeah.
Come up with ideas for it and everything. Because basically, I'll come up with, I'll write the song with the lyrics and the chords, whether I play it on piano or guitar or whatever else, and then like I'll bring it to the band, and our drum will play a beat to it, and like then our bass player will play something, the guitar player will play what I played but better, a lot better, and then it starts to sound good.
Yeah. Like I said, at rehearsal time too, that's a very important part of it. Whether you be doing recording or live, I mean, it's a big part.
Well, playing live all the time, you gotta constantly learn new songs and stuff, so you can't work on any of that, so.
Yeah. Essentially getting the set tight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you always have to do that, because it gets boring playing the same, like 3 sets over and over for years at a time,
Yeah, it would become mundane, but which I think is a lot of why touring bands, man, they got a formula that works for them because they're playing the same damn set over and over and over again for 2 years straight.
I like to at least bring, like say 2 or 3 songs every 3 to 6 months. At least change up that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have before this all happened for like 6 years, we're in that finish line thing. Open mic thing, we always have to something different.
Yeah. The other thing too, like I said, we're gonna have Jesse on and everything. I wanted you to talk. So this is not we were talking only about weed, and it's a subject that I think has gotten, lost in translation, especially with all this going on. It's not something we should forget about. But why don't you tell me your experiences with it, because you've had multiple DUIs with it, which is, in my opinion, like
I had one DWI in Ohio because of it. I actually hadn't smoked, but I had it in the car with me.
Yeah.
It was in my system, so what are you gonna do?
And with that, they did the test on you. It was, you just had it in your system. There was no limit there that they could say that this is a offense.
Well, no, there's no way they can even tell the time or how long it's been by the test. It's just
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but basically, unless you got money from a lawyer to fight it, then it's not worth.
Yeah.
I just figured I'd go through all the hassle and pay it off and all that stuff.
Instead, rather than
go through all the spiel, doing the weekend thing and all that,
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've been arrested a couple times for it. The other times I wasn't driving. It's it definitely needs to change, and I mean, I think it still is. I think people aren't talking about it right now, but it's still like the cops are wearing a lot less of it. A lot more people just talk about it openly, which is so weird for me. Just
Yeah, because you came back
like, wait a second,
from a time that we had to hide that stuff when we did it.
I was
not that I do it.
Doing it, but now it's just all cool and everybody does it.
Yeah, but it was such a stigmata for so long, and now we're just getting to the point where it's, people are waking up. They're realizing all the history behind it and why it's illegal in the first place.
It was just a profit thing,
And you brought up a good point, because I've only known the William Hearst end of it, but you brought up the DuPont end.
Well, yeah, it was just a bunch of rich people who were scared because the Popular Science made that article about the next $1 billion, thing, because it can be used to make. You can make paint. You can make a type of fuel. You can make all kinds of things out of it, and paper. And it scared them because it was like a lot cheaper than their method.
Yeah.
And they didn't want somebody to push them out, so they just put all that money up against it and made it.
Like we were talking about too, essentially a lot of that was because of William Hearst, because he had the paper mill and he had the printing industry, and that really brought it forward.
Well, because like, what is it, 1 acre of hemp will, compared to, I forget what it is, but like, it's a lot more than 1 acre of trees,
Yeah.
And it's constant, like, it grows.
Yeah, and it's more durable than wood.
Wood, you gotta wait, 20 years, and that's just at least, to get a small tree,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, and it was the whole reason it's illegal on the federal level too. It was all because of him that publishing it, and like you said with DuPont, it all just played in perfectly. I mean, alcohol was illegal for 3 years.
Well, it's a higher schedule than heroin and everything. Like pot's on a higher schedule. It's Schedule 1, what heroin, and then Schedule 2, I believe, or something.
I can't remember the parts, but yeah, you're right.
But like, that's worse, I'm sure.
Yeah. They both went illegal at the same time, and then when Prohibition ended, alcohol became legal again, and weed stayed illegal through the federal level and everything, and then not only that, propaganda through the 50s, which I'm sure you know, with the commercial and all that, This, you know.
Well, I remember the 90s, fuck. Like, remember the
Just
commercial
say
in the
no.
90s?
Oh God.
This is your brain on marijuana. Friday.
You know they did
the
it.
one that got me was the girl that was all like, just turns into just skin laying there.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you don't get out and socialize anymore.
Yeah.
You don't do this. Yeah, I remember that. That's been a minute. Oh wow. Yeah, it's nuts.
I said, yes, I just want to feel like that, just for an hour.
Yep. It helped. I mean, there's so many proven sciences behind it. Anxiety, obviously, and they're going with epilepsy and all these other things that the THC helps. And
Yeah, medically, there's so many benefits, and just stress-wise, like a lot of people could use it. They wouldn't be,
yeah,
such jerks all the time.
that's true. I heard a comedian say one time, it's like the people who say you shouldn't smoke weed are the people that should smoke weed because their ass is too uptight.
I believe that. I mean, it's not for everybody, but
You said
and then it's also like it's the tolerance thing, because like even like a lot of other medicines, like once you build it up in your system, it doesn't do the same thing as like if somebody just uses it recreationally, and somebody that does it all the time. Like somebody that does it every once in a while, they're gonna get like,
Yeah.
While somebody does it all the time, they're not gonna get the same feeling. It's gonna be, a lot less to them,
right.
just because of the tolerance.
Yeah, which it's a natural reaction for your body for anything that's not used to. It doesn't matter what it is, but like you said, the more you smoke it, or the more intake you have, the higher tolerance is going to get. And eventually, you just function normally, optimally, one way or the other, or semi-normally. You just feel a little better. The anxiety's gone, the depression's gone, which I mean, you definitely need that.
Oh yeah.
And it's something that grows out of the earth naturally, whether we want it to or not.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I don't see the big deal. Like,
Yeah.
it's not something that hurts anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of other things you can't argue that with, like alcohol, anything else,
Like you're talking about all the products that we make out of petroleum and wood, essentially have a lot to lose because it's a stronger fabric. I mean, our T-shirts we go right to that real quick. I'm sure you have in your collection somewhere something made out of a hemp product.
Oh yeah. I mean, back in the day they were kind of itchy, but they came pretty far. Yeah.
Because we're used to polyester and cotton,
Yeah.
and your body has to adjust.
I do like cotton, but no, like back in the early '90s, they're a lot different. The hemp, you get the hemp. What the heck is that? The like Spanish hoodie, the Mexican hoodie thingy.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
Hemp.
What was it?
Poncho?
Poncho, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like I had a hemp poncho in the '90s, and that was itchy.
I felt the same as wool on your body. But now, imagine with California and Colorado, they probably have other ways to do it now.
Oh yeah.
Combining chemicals to it or something to not so itchy.
Yeah, it's came pretty far. Like, I mean, I remember hearing about things they're gonna do, and now they, far past that. Like it's skyrocketed the things they're doing with it.
Yeah. Is it? And they have the ability to look at it now and
Yeah, they can
legally,
actually
so
study it scientifically and understand a lot more about it because it's not,
Yeah, Schedule 1 substance
Yeah.
that it wasn't before, and people are
I
starting
think
to
it still is, but
on a federal level.
Yeah.
And
But-
not a state decision.
no, now they're letting people work with it and stuff, and they're understanding a lot more about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's the other thing too. We don't hear any major accidents happening within the working industry, like any hard labor jobs, because of it in Colorado, California, Washington. You don't hear of that, so it obviously must be able to help you out while you're working, or at least not inebriate you enough to where you can't do your job.
I don't know. I think probably the people that need it. Yeah, they doing their job, but I mean, it's pretty easy to go a couple hours without smoking.
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. Working, it depends on what you're doing, I think. Like, I wouldn't do a lot of, like, heavy jobs myself like that, like doing construction and I've done a lot of that. I really wouldn't do that too much, climbing up on a roof and doing all this, but like normal jobs, I would think, wouldn't be too bad. Focus your mind more instead of like...
Yeah, because your anxiety's gone. You're not, like you said, even, that was a perfect example of what you said, was road rage. Like, that's gone.
Oh, yeah.
Too, while you're driving.
Yeah,
you can eliminate that.
Is.
Yeah, like I'm on Hawaiian time. I got all the time in the world to get there. Nothing to that.
What's the thing from the anger management movie? Did he say goose flapper?
Yeah.
Goose flapper.
Well, anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, I'm pretty good with all that.
I think we should just play music, start talking. We have more in that conversation I forgot about.
Oh yeah, we should have just had it rolling earlier instead of trying to bring it back.
Should have had it out on the porch when we were talking. Lesson learned for next time. We will not talk. We'll come in here, you play, and then we'll talk.
Hidden camera. That's what you do.
We're just gonna start wearing body cams.
They have them on Wish.
That's true. We can just get them off there.
They got them looking like cell phone chargers and light switches and all kinds of, like, Wish shows you all kinds of weird stuff. Like,
we get customized LOTC or something on there.
Well, I got one of those backup things for my truck, and like, so then they showed me all these other cool things. There's all kinds of like, hidden camera stuff or just tiny cameras and stuff,
And you can't help but click. You gotta go look.
You gotta click on the Wish and look at it. I mean, it takes like 2 years to get what you want, and sometimes it's not what you want, but you're like, I paid $4 or $5 for this. It's worth it still for what I got. Like,
just the shipping time takes a little longer.
Yeah, I think I paid like $4.50 for this. I was gonna get one of those recharge, the phone charger on the go things.
Oh yeah.
And I ended up getting like a three USB plug, or something. And I was like, I paid $4 for this. Is it really? I would have paid $5 in a store.
Yeah.
Like it was like 99 cents and $3 shipping and handling.
And the worst part is when you're drinking on there, it's
I know.
Yeah, I gotta order this. I help myself.
Well, I can't look at reverb when I'm drinking. That's just bad.
Anything with a musical instrument for us is not a great idea when you're drinking.
eBay needs locked.
With your bank account in the morning, where the hell did that go? Oh yeah. I got 2 new guitars coming.
I have a 1920s this or 64 amp.
Thank God I'm going to work Monday.
Okay, PayPal takes like 3 days to come out. I think I can make it.
Yes, I've been there. Everybody's been there. Oh dear. Like I said, we got to keep body cams on us because I forgot what the hell else we were talking about.
Oh yeah,
but the good news,
random cameras set up and then you just clip
from
back
here,
to
hallway, and porch, we got it.
There you go. Well, you might want to cut some.
I've already cursed at least 6 or 8 times. Shit, we'll put it on there again. It's on. I take the part out that everything full length is on YouTube, so you get up. They don't typically bitch too much about me cursing or anybody else and what we say, but Facebook and Instagram get a little bent out of shape. That's your fault.
The first time I went down to the IBC, the International Blues Competition thing.
Was that in Tennessee? Or sorry,
Memphis.
Memphis.
That was 2011 or 2012, something like that.
Yeah.
I've went down like 5 times, but first time I went down. So I get up, and my first time on the stage, I sat there, and it's like one of the last acts, and it goes on from like 5 till 10 p.m. So this is like 9 p.m. I watched everybody, and they're all awesome. So I go and start to play my song, like I got my whole set ready. you know, started playing my first song, and I started out on another song. Like, I'm like, all right, I haven't played but just a couple seconds of it, so I was like, I done fucked up. All right, and then I went to my other song, and like, I just looked. There's like a gas. The one lady that was in charge of it and stuff. And like, oh yeah, they did not like me after that because I said I fucked up.
Oh jeez. It's like, what are you guys, 5?
I went down. The rest of the set was great, but it was like, oh.
How many little kids were standing out there? That's the question.
In a bar.
Oh, who gives a shit?
9 o'clock at night. In
Parents,
Memphis.
if you don't like cursing, don't take them to a bar and don't listen to me talk. That's just how it's gonna go. Because I don't have the time to bleep everything out. So forget it. No, I'm not spending my whole weekend doing that.
Yeah.
I'll put a short clip up on Instagram and Facebook of us not cursing, and the rest you get on YouTube. That's just how it's gonna go.
I'll tell you another story. I didn't think it was right later.
By all means,
not
go
in
ahead.
front of the camera.
Oh, you're saying, you sure? It's, like I said, this part will not be on YouTube. Or sorry, not on Facebook or Instagram. This part will be on YouTube. You can put it on if you like. I don't mind.
I couldn't say the names without, or I couldn't say other names without them knowing.
Right, okay, that's no problem. You can make up names or just this guy or this guy. That will not mind.
I had plenty of good times out there.
I imagine it. Like I do remember way to Memphis. I made it to Nashville, Chattanooga, and made my way back that way.
Nashville's fun, but like my problem with Nashville is like like I went to Nashville and there was no country. Like everything was just bar bands. Like we ended up walking into one club and like actually it was a great country band. And you know, I'm not even a country fan, but I was in Nashville. Like I'm in Nashville, why not go see some country? And then we finally went into this one. They had a guy with a steel guitar. He was great, but the rest of the bands was just like all just normal. They play the same songs.
Yes, and you're on Main Street, right, where there's 25 different bars and stuff.
Yeah, I was a little upset about that. Memphis, I love Memphis. It's my town, but when the blues thing isn't going on, they got the IBCs, which is like late January, for a full week. All the bars are playing blues. Has multiple bands in every bar and everything. But then normally there'll be a couple bands playing, but it's mainly like dance music in most of the places on.
Oh, okay.
Except for in May when they have the Blues Music Awards and when they have the International Blues Competition in January. The rest of the time it's like they do. I mean, they do have bands and they're like the musicians are incredible there. But then, you know, that's what's popular, you know, the dance music and stuff, so a lot of bars play that,
more of the revenue for that.
Yeah. But I love that town and the food is the most amazing, so even if you can't see music,
I've heard the ribs, about the ribs.
Not even just, there's this place, Alcinia's, like, it's been on like diners, dives.
I forgot his name.
Guy Fieri or whatever.
I know
it's been on there. She's been on like the Today Show and a couple other places. Nicest lady in the world. Like if she comes over, like she's an incredible cook, and then she comes over and talks to you and like is the sweetest woman in the world. You know, like
very social.
Yeah, just but her food is to die for. You wait a while because she's cooking it. You know, you give the order and she cooks it like it's a dinner. You know, like so it takes. You're sitting there for about an hour before you eat, but oh my God, it is the best.
What's the name of it?
Alcinia's. Yeah, watch that on diners, drive-ins, and dives or whatever.
Yeah, yep.
Oh,
you're right on that. I forgot the name of it. Yeah, that's. Now is that more home style or is that Cajun or is there?
Oh no, that's just southern home style cooking, I guess. Like you know, she makes fried pork chops, deep fried pecan crusted catfish. It's really good.
That sounds good.
Then fried chicken, fried fish. She makes just southern food, you know, like greens and just I'm big.
Grits.
I grew up down south, so like, well, no, she doesn't do breakfast. She just does lunch. Grits is a breakfast food, typically. So, like, she does like greens. She does this corn. I'm not even sure what it's called, but like this awesome version of mac and cheese. Green beans, things like that. Okra, stuff like that.
I forgot. Yeah, you grew up in Norfolk, Virginia.
Yeah, North Virginia.
You were there for how many years? I forgot.
Till I was about 16, and then I came up here, and then lived up here for a little while. Moved back down there. Moved out to LA, and then came back here. Had a good.
Yeah, you went out with Alex, didn't you? To California?
Well, I went out, and then he went out a few months later. He was supposed to go out at the same time as me, but he met a girl. And so he stayed back for a couple months, and then he was like, he broke up with the girl. He was like, "Hey, Sean, I'm coming out now." I was like, "All right, I'm out here."
What was it like for a blues musician out there? Because you were out early 2000s, right?
Yeah, 2005, I believe it was. 4 or 5, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
It was. I wasn't that good then. I mean, I sat in with a couple bands and stuff, but I didn't have the knowledge that I have now. I wish I did.
Yeah, and your chops always say.
Yeah.
As you get to the point. Yeah.
Like, it wasn't until I really finally started a band in about 09, I think it was. I mean, I played in my dad's band, but it was like doing harmonica on 6 or 7 songs maybe throughout their thing, or maybe one whole set if they're doing a benefit. That's all they,
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I finally decided to start my own band, so I had a chance to play.
So another thing is, you got your dad in on it, and then was it Rich Cummings was playing with you back then? Because me and Joseph were in Sanford.
His dad.
Oh, that's right. Dick was playing. Yeah.
Dick was playing with us, and actually John McGraw, who also just recently passed back in, I believe it was the end of March.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah, he's the one Alex took over on bass for a little while.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, he was. He just passed too recently. So, my dad passed. About a year ago, July.
This was July, was it?
Yeah, July 26th, whatever day it was. But yeah, and then now John passed, so I got a whole different crew now. It's fun.
Yeah. Like I said, you and your dad always. It was fun to watch you guys on stage. That was a good time.
Yeah. It was a time. It was a good time. I loved it.
But yeah, when you started the band, it was. I remember your dad, the drummer, and then Alex came in on bass, and then it just kind of kept morphing from there because the Dirty Mojo Blues Band, it just kept trying.
Oh yeah, we just kept playing, and hell, for a while we didn't have a station or a certain bass player drummer. We just used different people all the time.
Yeah. You've had Colin, you've had, God.
I think almost everybody's done a couple shows at least as a Dirty Mojo.
I was going to say, Jason Miller stepped in for a couple of times,
Oh,
too.
yeah.
He's Jason, I mean,
we borrow kids from the Uptown.
That's right, you did. I forgot about that, too.
Well, we were playing with Connor on guitar. And then we borrowed his sister. She was still in Uptown at the time, still in high school. Hell of a fun bass player. She was able to pick everything up like nothing. We have some incredible talent as far as musicians around the area.
Yeah, you do, and that we all do. There's a list. There's a freaking list of the musicians around here. List off. We start with drums. I mean, you got Jesse, you got Peter, you got Dick, you got this. Well, sorry, I'm going to get this backwards. Is it Rich? Rich is his dad, or Dick is the oldest.
Yes,
that's the dad.
Dick's dad, Richard.
I mean,
they're both Richards, but yeah.
I always get it backwards every time I see him, and I feel bad. He's probably looking at me funny every time I see him. You got Joseph Hauserman, which both of us have worked with,
Yeah.
whether he be running sound or anything. And just so many of them. And then bass players, like you said, Colin, you got boy Teddy Bear, you got Joe Rickenbach, there's a Jason, you got everybody.
My drummer Tim's awesome. Or my bass player Tim's awesome. My drummer Mark also
Mark Peterson, yeah, he's great.
Yuri's a really good drummer. You ever talk to him, Yuri?
No, I didn't.
He lives in Muncie.
I don't know him.
Oh, really? He plays with Cadillac Cats.
Okay. Who else is in Cadillac Cats?
Blair Mitchell Tree.
Okay. Yeah, I know Blair.
And then Garrett, he was playing with the what the heck is their name? The one band that kind of started from Uptown. They did like 70s rock.
Oh,
they played around the area. They were like playing everywhere for a while.
I know what you're talking about. I can't. Yeah,
it's like on the tip of my tongue. It's a. I think the name's based off a South Park character, I think. Or.
You got it.
I can't remember it. Damn it. You're gonna have to cut that part.
Leave it. They'll tell us in the comments, but hey, idiot, it was us. Oh, sorry, man.
No, like Frog, Clyde Frog. That's it.
Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, yep. Clyde Frog. Yeah.
Yeah, they're phenomenal cats. They're damn good musicians.
He just cut his hand up pretty bad though.
No,
he did something to his hand, but he injured himself, and but he should be healed up pretty soon.
But all the tendons are intact, everything.
I'm pretty sure.
That's the worst thing.
It wasn't sliced, maybe it was just broke. I'm not sure.
What's that?
I remember I was working with Blair at the time, and he was telling me his bass played out for a little while. He's like, all right, is Tim playing this night?
That's the beauty of it, man. You guys really, as far as the blues community out there, you guys are real tight knit. I mean, there's no ego. You guys can go in and out of each other.
Oh yeah, we became a family over the years. You know, all the different musicians there. It's not just blues. It's just blues is basically like the
what is
the background of American music. You know, it's like the most broke down, basic version of American music. Like you can find it in country, you can find it in metal, you can find it in rock, you can find it in everything. It's all, you know, has foundations with the blues. You know, like it's so.
Like you said, if it wasn't for the blues, you wouldn't have Elvis. Well, you wouldn't. First of all, you wouldn't have B.B. King. You wouldn't have Buddy Guy. You go down the list of all the major names.
Name them before Elvis. Yes.
What's that?
I said yes. Please name them before Elvis.
Yeah. Well, you know, Elvis just took what they had. And, I forgot his name. Phenomenal guitar player, great singer too, but phenomenal. Johnny B. Good. Chuck Berry.
Yeah.
There we go. I mean, it wouldn't be for Chuck Berry, we wouldn't have what we have too.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a list a mile long of those musicians. I guess.
Professor Longhair, he was early guy.
Yeah, a big part of history right there. People tend to overlook though. I think it's more known now because of
Yeah, well, and then they had that commercial in the early 2000s where everybody was. They did Professor Longhair's one song because it almost has like a hip hop beat. It was the one where they were all like doing the jumping from the buildings and flipping and things.
Oh, yeah, I remember what you're talking about. It's been
but it's an old Professor Longhair song that was, was forgotten about and brought up, before, but he doesn't. I think he deserves a lot more attention as far as one of the fathers of rock and roll.
Yeah, there's so many of them too, and like you said, and then jump another decade ahead. We're talking about the Rolling Stones to the Beatles, and the timing with that. Like Beatles were just a more. I mean, they did obviously a few, very limited live performances, but they got pissed off because they didn't hear themselves play with people screaming. But we were talking about the Rolling Stones, who are very much a locked unit that have the same, what we were talking about earlier, the diverse dynamics of each other. They play off of each other. And they and Keith Richards and lead singer, help me out, Wow, just like I'm one of the biggest singers ever. But yeah, and they don't even like each other. But they're such a tight knit
But
group.
did you see him that dancing video?
No,
A couple months back. Oh my god! Like I can't even do that shit. Like
he's in his 70s.
Yeah, I was like, holy shit.
He just became not only like I think he's a great grandfather now and a father at the same time. I was like, how is that even possible? It's like, what is Keith Richards giving you as far as drugs? Because every man needs to know. Because there are only two people on this earth that can do anything, and that is Keith Richards and Jack Nicholson as far as drugs go. It does not affect them in any way, shape, or form.
Somebody had the meme with like Adam and Eve guys. It's like, but who's that? Oh, that's Keith Richards. He is here, not here.
Oh man.
What kind of world are you gonna leave for Keith Richards?
It'd just be him and 3 cockroaches. What do you
But yeah, I mean, they lasted 50 years. The Beatles only lasted 10, and they didn't even play out live all the time, you know?
Yeah.
That right there can cause all kinds. And just imagine, well, you played live shows and stuff, like it can get, stressful and stuff sometimes. It causes arguments and everything else. Imagine for that long to be, one unit, Well,
it is a testament.
Some of them didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like they lasted that long.
Yeah.
The Beatles made 10 years, and they only did studio stuff after the first, 3.
Yeah. And like you said too, they were very...
not counting the Germany years where they were like just a band. Because they were doing that in late 50s or something, I think.
Oh, I honestly don't remember. They said you remember musical history better than I do at this point.
Yeah, they were like in somewhere in Germany. They were playing like 6 nights a week.
And that's brutal.
Oh yeah, and like they were living in back of a strip club or some shit. I forget.
Yeah, I think that was
somewhere. It was a weird thing. Like, but yeah, then they went. They actually had a different drummer at the time. They lost him, but they said he was a better drummer, but Ringo was a better Beatle.
Yeah, they got along. Yeah.
Yeah.
And and you realize like I do. I mean, the studio, how I do stuff, I'm always bringing cats in and out. I know everybody.
Yeah.
But it's when you get out on the road and you start rehearsing together, you start living together essentially, and traveling.
Oh yeah.
Personalities tend to clash because that's when you're this close together. There's much space.
It's just hard to keep a band together for a long period of time because, some people don't get along with other people. Some people can be the best players in the world and so hard to work with.
Yes.
They could be the number one on their instrument wherever, and then there's, they just don't get along with everybody else. So, like, is it worth it to have one guy that's just super incredible and everybody else is mad all the time and doesn't play to their potential, So you gotta find people that mesh well,
Yeah.
Or like the Build-A-Bands type thing, all-star bands, they don't always work out. Even though everybody's awesome. Yeah, that's normally why. It's the personalities. It's not, they're awesome musicians. If they can decide what they're gonna do, they'll do something great. But they can't even handle working with each other because everybody got an ego and
It's true, yeah. That ego does come into play. It's like you have to respect when you walk in with somebody who's essentially, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, it essentially comes down to the song and what that song is about. You write blues. Now, if you were to bring somebody else in who's a rock drummer and you're trying to push him into that area, and he's not in that mindset, those personalities will clash.
Oh yeah,
at least you have to have somebody who's on the same mindset. You have to be willing to, you wrote this song. This is yours. We're going to work around this.
That's very hard to find too, because everybody, as soon as they'll start to get an idea off of an idea, they're like, oh well, maybe like I like that myself, but other people are not, so I'll at least try it. There's, what's the harm of trying something,
Exactly.
Even if it's horrible, even if it's dumb or anything else, try it.
Yeah.
It could work, and you never even thought, but.
And even if it doesn't work, as well as I do, it's like, but there's when you play that part that they suggested, it's like, you feel it's like, okay, you were going for this, let's try this again, but let's try this. And then everybody starts putting it. Sometimes that works too, but like you said, there's parts where you're trying, it's like, this does not work, sorry.
Yeah.
And that's when the ego comes in. If they have a good ego and everybody's kind of on the same page, that's when it's like, okay, I fucked up, let's keep shut.
Well, I like mine. Like, I can be outvoted. If the band doesn't like something, they're more than welcome to outvote me on any idea, I think that's, you need criticism to make something better. You can't just, without thinking about, if you don't know about something, how you gonna fix it,
No doubt.
Especially, I don't know the other instruments as well as, the other players do, so you know your instrument better. If you have a better idea to do it, please.
Yeah.
Like,
and then, like you said, like we were talking about, the ego comes into play there. So you got to let go because, like you said, I play drums, but I am not. Where I'm not up to par with the dudes that I've worked with. They will smoke me in a freaking heartbeat, and every one of those, they're sitting there going, you know it, brother. But it's like I'll show them something especially Jesse, he'd be the one who's like, don't do that again. He says, I already know what you're going for. Sit down. I got this. You gotta love a drummer like this. Like, dude, I already know what you want. Just sit down, dumbass.
Nice, good guy.
Just play this beat. And he's like, dude, you're so far off time. He says, I know what you're doing, but just get out of here.
I'm not great on drums. I can do one or the other. Like, I have enough trouble with piano trying to do two different things at once, let alone have 4 different things going on at the same time. I'm sitting there like, okay, I want you to go da ba da ba da 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 da, what? I try to make sounds and they're not like the sounds they're supposed to be at all. Like,
dude, it's the funniest looks to give me. I don't speak drummer. I'm like, I need this sound. Like, oh shit, here we go.
Can't believe they actually figured out off of how I explained it. Like, wow, you did that. Okay, yeah, that's great.
I feel bad for them, man. They get the worst job in the band. They truly do. I mean, what we do is hard. What a guitar player does is hard. What does a bass player does is hard. Production, sound engineer, and a drummer have it tied. Sound engineer, he's got. I can't decide the line there, but the drummer too has the worst.
Drummer by far it would have to be the hardest because you're basically running in place for 3 hours. I couldn't do that. Like, I could not keeping to a rhythm.
Yes.
In running in place, there's no like.
Yep.
Cardio,
yes.
After my first song, I'd be like, hold on, my side's hurting.
We need to stop. Give me 5. Really? You got a point there. I didn't think. You got to think about the cardio too, because especially if you go to it.
And if the drummer's out, like the songs, pretty much, like anything else can almost be. You can help fix with your instrument, But if the drumming's off, it's just there's no point. Just stop the song. It's not. Let's not keep going.
It's true. That is a very true statement. They never get spoken about, and they never get recognized.
Yeah, they never get recognized. They're always behind everybody half the time. Like, you can't really see them when they take pictures and everything else. I feel bad.
And they're always the nicest. There's always that 10%, but they're usually the nicest people you're ever gonna meet. They're very calm because they sit there do cardio all night long. They're sweet people.
We had Animal. All the drummers around here learned from Animal, literally. Steve Mitchell was Animal. Like,
well, did you ever see how Shannon Larkin from Godsmack and Amen and all that? How he does the tricks that he does where he's swinging his arms and he's doing. There's only 2 reasons he did that. He did an interview, and Shannon, if you ever listen, please post that so people know where you got it from. But the interview I heard him say it on is he watched Animal first. That was his inspiration to play drums, and the second reason was he broke his arm, And the reason why he does the twist, where he's flipping back and forth from the hi-hat to the snare, is because he broke his arm. And he ended up playing one-handed. He cocked himself to the side and played his rhythm, and every time he'd go for the snare, he'd hit his left arm off that and lean into it as he was doing it. But Shannon Larkin is truly, and I'll say this out loud because a lot of people don't know this, Shannon Larkin is the godfather of showmanship. I mean, John Bonham did have some tricks, he had some spins and stuff, but when you look at the drummers in the late 80s who were doing that spin and stuff, that was because of Shannon. Shannon started that before them and was playing in clubs and stuff. And even Sully from Godsmack said this, and Morgan Rose, all the drummers we love, they heard about this guy. He got through the grapevine. This drummer's in there doing this crazy. He's banging his heads off. He's switching his hands and doing this, and that's how he got his name. And he's played for Ozzy. But he's never been a part of anybody other than Amen and Godsmack. And maybe one more band, Shannon, you can tell me, but. He's truly the godfather of it. Other than John Bonham doing the spin tricks, he started that, and Shannon will admit that. And he took that part. And
normally, the drummers like the background. They're part of it without being.
Because you know how it is. Like the drummers are always they're always working with each other. They look at each other and they're the most competitive too, because it's like, oh, you're doing that.
I don't know. Guitar players are pretty bad.
That's true. You got a point there. That's true. Yeah, the guitar. I still give drummers the first.
Guitar players, they get even if they're not, if they're just playing leads, they're not a singer or anything. They, still get the majority of the recognition.
Yes, that's true.
And so they tend to have pretty large egos. I mean, I'm just saying.
You're right too.
Singers are the worst. By far the worst egos.
Yes. I'm sorry. What's the drummer from Pantera? Passed away last year or the year before. Not Dimebag, but his brother. Oh wow! But yeah, he put it best. He goes, every singer has LSD disease, lead singer disease. He said they have an ego. He says you just gotta fucking deal with it.
Well, see, in order to have the confidence to sing, you gotta have the ego. It really, honestly, you need ego, but you gotta be able to deal with that ego and not be a prick. You gotta find balance. Because on a guitar player too, you can't have the attitude while you're playing if you're all scared while you're doing it.
And not at least semi-confident and know your ability.
Just trust, yourself, basically.
And I've noticed too, the older musicians get it, the more they become comfortable in their own skin, their playing ability, and they realize a lot of things. The ego starts to disappear. I mean, we all have that.
Well, that's honestly, I talk to people about say this, that. Someone starts out and oh God, they're getting ego, and I'm like, that'll go away. Once they have that for a little while, all of them do. It'll be a couple years where they just think they're the best ever, and it then a couple years later they're way better than they were, but they don't have the attitude that I don't have to do that. It goes back to the love of the craft, and instead of for a while you get all clouded by all that crap.
That's a good point too. You bring that up. I'm sure a lot of them, they got to that point and they didn't make it to a level that they wanted to be. And I think some of them gave it up at that point. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Because of that ego. It's I've done I'm the top of the line. They don't want me. Then make excuses and just drop it. Yeah. And then there's some that just continue on and they realize, oh, my ego was getting my head. I wasn't as good as this dude or this dude.
Yeah. Well, let's be honest. You'll never be. There's just too much great people in the world that's already existed, let alone everybody else has them to look at too. So you're never going to be the best. There's no point in trying to be the best. Just try to be good and proud of what you do. And just love it.
Essentially, be yourself and create what you feel.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because there's a quote that I've always loved, and this is by Theodore Roosevelt. Comparison is the thief of joy. And I think that's where a lot of people get hurt. We compare ourselves to all these greats. It's Yeah, they were from a different time. Go out and be yourself and just keep whatever you feel. Just keep playing and keep going. You know.
Don't get me wrong. You use them as inspiration.
Yes.
Like because that's you know.
Yeah, if you're building blocks, you have the forefathers.
Well, it's like I was watching this thing one time. This saying how like he was talking to this writer, and at the time they're like, oh, he's so different than any other writer. And you talk to him, and he's like, well, I'm different from any other writers because I've read a lot of writers. And the only way I built that knowledge was by reading these other writers in order to have the ability to do that. I would have never been able to do this if I didn't or any instrument, if I didn't learn how to play like this person, like that person, how to do this or that, I would never have the ability to play how I play. You need something to base your knowledge off of in order to have the knowledge. Like, you know, it just doesn't come out of nowhere. Like, you listen to, well, that's why there's like, in music in general, there's so many where you can see like the evolution of the artist. You know, you where he's like, oh, it's good, but then oh, that's way better. You know, oh wow, you know, kind of thing. And like, like, that's how I kind of feel about it.
It's correct too. I mean, I think there's a split way between that. Like you said, that is a perfect example. You keep building, you keep getting better, and like you said, the Stones have, just took that. You have bands, Metallica. As much as they hate their 90s work, it's like, dude, they were together in like what, 82?
I'm not sure when they did the bass player switch, but what was that after?
Numbers on me for that, but there's a reason why. I mean, they've gone through an evolution all the way up through. I'm just talking about the basics of it. That's just the first one popping. But they kept growing and building, and they got pissed off at when they went pop rock. Oh, the Black Album was terrible. It's like, no, they were just getting tighter and better songwriters. And then they did 2 more albums, tighter songwriting, and then they went back to thrash. It's like
I think my favorite's the Black Album myself. But
yeah, there's a lot of great songs on that. And then you listen to the first album, that real rough.
Well, I mean, it's a different. Yeah, it's a different thing. I like that too, but like, you definitely. I don't know. They kind of definitely changed for me in the '90s. They almost switched their style too heavy to be the same thing, but at the same time,
that was a lot of it was Bob Rock just building that sound up to where it had.
But I would agree they were better songwriters after the fact. But it was the almost punk rocketness of their early, you know what I mean, like which is, I don't know, that's his own thing, but like.
Well, you're right. That's a part of it too, because you had the speed in it, and you had the metal in it. Like what came from Judas Priest, what came from Lemmy, what came
imagine
from.
He had the knowledge, but the speed back when he was 20, 21, when he still had all that energy.
And the punk rock too. Just the attitude of punk rock alone.
Yeah.
And forget the music for a second. The attitude alone, that changed. And then the music, that just hit that generation like fucking brick. And then you had Lemmy, you had everything kind of came into play. You had Judas Priest, you had Sabbath before that, and Led Zeppelin, which is, there's another fucking level to that, which we can talk about. You know as well as I do the stories and how they did things, man. And a very limited, they were like Hendrix, a very limited time, and that's all they had. And they still affect us to this day.
They had 10 good years.
That's it.
But they've came out a lot of albums in those 10 years, so. And a lot of songs that were. I wish my band was around for 10 years and had that kind of shit. It's kind
of like that. It just, those right people might at the right point in time. That's just how it goes.
Well, I think with the music industry and everything else is a lot, I wouldn't say easier back then, but talent could rise a lot.
Yeah, they were kind of looking for a sound.
And it wasn't like now everybody has the internet, so everybody can learn everything.
Yeah, that's true too.
It was a lot harder then. You almost, either you had to learn and teach yourself, or you had to know someone that was going to teach you how to play good. So it was a lot less people did it. Now everybody can play Hendrix if they just put the time in. Anybody that wants to.
And the digital effects that we have today with programming,
yeah. There's so much other ways to fake it, like fucking listen to Disney Channel vocals and shit, like
yeah, you get a good point there.
Antares is a bitch, like the vocal processor, that thing, the auto tune thing.
I don't agree with. I don't disagree with the words you're saying with any of that. I mean that. We have our formation from there back to, when rock and roll. Some whiskey, water, salute. Too good. Okay, what were we talking about outside?
We're talking about outside?
Yeah. We had a few drinks. I don't know what we're doing. We took a quick commercial break. Got pro.
Just got back. Drive around Jupiter. Just how like technology is giving a lot more ability to things. That way.
Yeah.
As far as you got the auto tune and everything, so it's like a double-edged kind of.
Yeah. Like you said, the sound that you and I grew up with, and the sound from the generation before us, and the other generation before us, when they first started having recordings. Definitely, it's a generational thing. We're all hearing things different down the line.
Yeah. But mostly in my genre, it's kind of like you want that old dirty sound. Not the new dirty sound. It's a different. It's like a more low end distortion as opposed to more high end and mid distortion in like 80s and 90s and what a lot of guitars come to now, the shred and everything. Like your cleans were a lot higher. Back with 2 amps and everything. I don't know. I think there's something beautiful about that. Just like even like photos, like pictures. Digital, it's awesome. Everybody can take these great pictures, but like to have a good photo is a whole different thing. You know what I mean? Like there's something in the blurriness, the not perfect thing. But like to me, a lot of like the digital as opposed to analog. Like digital goes like sound wise, like a straight,
there's a straight line between the whole thing.
45-degree angle, just like, while like analog, it tends to roll, like, more, it's more pleasing to the ear, to me, at least, and, some people feel that way.
It's kind of one of those deals. It's kind of to each their own. I mean, genres, as well as I do, genres change, and like pop music.
Genres suck, to be honest.
It does.
Like,
I would agree with you on that.
You gotta peg yourself into a genre, and then like you can't really adjust too far while staying in the genre, And you can't just jump and do everything, or else you'll never get fans because you don't have a genre. People will be like, you can list a song in 2 different ways, and if a person likes that style of music, they're more likely to like that song if you describe it as a blues song, if they like blues. Now, if they automatically, I don't like blues, and a lot of times they don't even know, because the blues is so broad. It's like the backbone of American music. It's like the basic part, like country, everything, they use the same type,
Yeah, you have country, jazz, blues, and definitely.
Well, country, even like a lot of your early country guys, like Hank Williams, learned from a black blues guitar player. That's his song arrangements and everything else he learned as a kid. He says that was, and then the finger picking of country music, like Doc Watson style, like the
chicken picking, so to speak?
Not so much. No, like the finger style, actually. Chicken picking more electric came later. So this like the finger style. Anyway, they were taught by a blues guy, the family, the Carter family, where a lot of like the country. He kind of came up with a lot of like the foundation, or a lot of people use his foundation of songwriting. Like he took old folk songs and kind of put them a certain way, and like a lot of country used that throughout country. You know, from that, he worked with a blues guitar player. Like so, like there's just so much involvement. You know,
Right.
because they're just musicians. You know, it's not just
It's one of those deals where, you know, like you and I do. I mean, we'll be out and about, and we'll be talking with different musicians, playing with different musicians, and these styles come to you, these song ideas, and then kind of the right place, right time with one musician who's taken all the inspiration from all these other artists and put it to this one song or a few songs, and it just kind of builds from there. It's like they've
that's how
that.
all the styles kind of create, but they all have a root in in that.
And the three basic genres, you have, like you said, jazz, blues, country. There's always those realms that we go back to.
Like, and that all like form just a blend of world music from different places. You know?
Yeah, especially throwing like old Appalachian style music, which is essentially
it's essentially just Celtic music. Like when that whole when the Appalachian, those are just like traditional songs they just all played. But like the whole bluegrass movement, like from the 40s on, where they're doing that, but they're like exceptional players on the instruments and stuff. That at the same time, there's like this movement like Ireland, where it was like this similar type of bands but playing Irish music and stuff. Cool how that kind of developed at the same time, and basically was a mixture of.
If I remember right, they had the fiddle, which obviously was a classical instrument, but the banjo, if I remember correctly, that was a part of their culture too. And that came from Africa originally.
Banjo came from Africa and Ireland. I mean, well, they used it in America for a long time. It's just not popular now, but up until like the 40s, it was a very popular instrument. I mean, it's still popular, but it was only really popular in bluegrass after that. Or Belfast. He does everything.
Essentially, well, with bluegrass, that's kind of combining folk and blues. Just faster.
The folk and jazz. I mean, like blues, but like they're real. Like the founders were big on jazz and everything else. And they use pretty much like the traditional music, but then they rearrange the song slightly or add this, add that. Do way more.
Improvisational.
Improvisational, and just with the melody, they play a lot more with it instead of just playing the, single notes of the melody to sound like, because really, most of your things, you want it one way or another to kind of harmonize with your vocal melody. Because you have your.
And with that too, like every style of music has its own melody line. There's always variances. There's always a combination, but what we learn from is from that start point. They all have their own melody lines across the music they created.
I mean, that's for all music, but your melody really, like whether you're changing it up, going to a different part, it still has that, underlying melody,
Compared to chord progression and the rhythm of it too, that always goes.
I mean, that's like the background while the melody sits, is the front. Like say the rhythm and everything's are like the is a painting. You gotta paint the background first and everything else, and then when you want to put the stuff on top, that's the melody to.
But the icing on the cake, so to speak.
But the melody is the most important as far as songwriting and everything. 'Cause you got to have a way it goes, formation to it. And that's why, like songwriting, it's the lyrics and the melody is what makes up the song.
But if you know as well as I do, it's kind of that's the split difference there. The music has to back that up correctly.
Yeah.
And like you said, you
Oh, I
have
mean,
to find the right
yeah,
people to do that with you.
Without the music, you could never make that melody sound like it does.
Yep.
But, you know, it's still because I mean, the melody has to use those chord progressions in it in order to, you know.
In order for everything to work correctly.
Yeah.
Be emotional.
Yeah.
And it's like you were saying, it's kind of one of those deals. We've lost that over the years because of everybody being on a click, and we've come to this set way of doing things, which is good for some music. But with what you're doing and what many other musicians are doing, you have to have that dynamic between all of you in order to make that melody, those lyrics, that song, that music, everything come together correctly. Because if you try, like you were saying, if you tried that with a click, it wouldn't work. It's not going to be the same feel.
Yeah, I mean, you could make something. You know, you could probably make something great, like, but it's going to be way more challenging. It's just that's the, you know, it's a lot harder to do it that way.
No doubt. What do you think, sir? I think we covered quite a bit. We just have to do it again sometime.
Yeah.
And I know you got a hell of a lot more originals.
Oh yeah.
You got albums once. I know this is your second album, but I know you've written a hell of a lot more in between the first one and this one, what you're doing now. So.
Yeah. I'll make another one after that, I guess.
Well, damn right. At the very least, you come on here and play it. You do that too. Just come on. If you're unsure about a song, just come on and play it.
Yeah, just play it for the web version.
Yep. Like, do you like this one? But then again,
No, there's a lot in the evolution of a song. Also.
Yes. Yeah, you got a good point there. Oh, here we go. I think we got to talk about this before we go.
Evolution of a song.
Yes. Because I think a lot of people forget about that. I mean, you have essentially. Tell me if I'm wrong, but essentially, when you're in the studio, you're trying to catch that lightning in the bottle because you're feeling that song. You know, you want to capture that as quickly as you can so you don't lose anything, but you don't want to lose the quality of the song.
See, I think it's a really hard thing because, like, really you want to play that song out in front of people to get it right, but at the same time you also don't want to get it in front of them until you know.
It does make. That's a very good point. That hasn't been brought up about it.
Like, I don't know, and then, like, you go in the studio, right, and you record something right away, and you're like, the rest of the time it's already recorded, so you're like, fuck, I wish I would have done this instead of that, you know, like, one note could have been here or there, you know, like.
Yep. That's how we all feel, I think, too.
And, like, that's what's nice about, like, there's a few songs where we've played out way before we recorded it, you know, we just played it for a while, and you're able to come up with more on that because you almost got to play it until you hate it, you know, and then that's when it becomes like everybody else likes it, you know.
Yep. Now in your studio, sometimes there's some points where you just capture that moment too. It's just, you get in there and you're really prepared, and then you just go in and you just play it, and it's like it's lightning in a bottle.
Oh, did you hear?
You capture all of it in one shot.
Us on our last one, we're doing an analog, and one of the interns recorded over one of the reels, and it was the only reel we had, like a one take song. Came out great. I was so upset over that one.
Yeah,
it was like a one take, and then we ended up, you know, trying to recreate that. It's just like
you can't.
No,
essentially you're focusing on it too much.
We ended up cutting out the leads on the take and then throwing them in later.
Yep.
On when we did the next. You know, it's just because like it was so good, and now you're like, it's gone.
Yeah. Yep. And I wouldn't imagine how many people that's probably happened to.
Oh, yeah.
Through the list, I mean, it's just you can never recapture that.
And in tape, it's easy to be gone.
It is. One click of a button or one press of a wrong button, you're screwed.
At least on a computer, you normally have a save. You have to try to delete it.
You have a backup. So do you really want to delete
Yes.
this? Do you have the extra options like,
Yeah.
oh, I fucked up or something, to give you that little reminder that I should not click that yes button.
You gotta right click it in order to delete it.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
And they put in the wrong roll, just start recording, it's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right over top of the track. You have. Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it's there's so many options. You
Yeah.
know, like so many ways to do it. Never say you have the right one, but
Yeah. Like you said, we were talking about ego too. I mean, it's not so much the ego thing. It's more of it's just one of those things you doubt yourself, and you have that take, and everybody else is telling you it's great. It's like, I could do better. It's like, no, shut the hell up. Leave that one alone. You know, I've been down that road. I'm sure you have too.
Yeah,
It's like you sing that one. It's like, I don't think that's good. It's like, dude, that is perfect. You do not touch a thing or walk away. We're gonna have this, and that's when you gotta realize it's like, but best listen to my friends right about now because.
for me, it's I know I can only do so much with my voice, so it's like it pretty much almost is what it is on that. Like I just can't. I don't know. I never learned how to sing right. That's why my voice is all like. I learned how to put it in tune with my throat somehow, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So.
But you definitely know it's you. I mean, when you sing, it's like, oh, there's Sean. I've done that too. I've walked down the street like. Literally, going to, gentlemen bars, going to see everybody, and I'll hear you come. No, that's Sean. It's like, I gotta take a right. I gotta see
I
him
never
real
wanted
quick.
to be a singer. I just wanted to play music, and that was the only way you could.
Yep. Because you hit that, you kind of hit that point. It's like, I have something to say, and nobody else can hear or portray what I'm doing, so you throw it down yourself, and then you build from there, essentially.
That was my whole reason to ever start singing, so I could play harmonica.
Yeah. And that case over there has quite. That thing has quite a few a minute.
I could always use more. Sleigh amps. I just picked up one today on the way here.
Yep. I was beginning to worry. I was like, wait, so you must be running late. And you pull it. I just bought an amp. I'm like, okay, I know where you were at tonight.
Hey, $45 for an old tube amp's a pretty good deal.
Yep, I wouldn't pass it up either. I'd have called me and like, I'm gonna be a little late. You just sit there. Okay. For a tube amp, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Well, sir, it's been fun. Like I said, we're gonna do this again.
All right.
Because there's more to the story to tell. As long as that camera or anything else doesn't cat out again. But we'll get it. We're out.